What is up, everyone, and welcome to the Game Week 30 deadline stream, guys. How are you guys doing? First of all of you from India, I hope and I wish you a very, very happy Holi, and I hope and uh, expect that you had a safe fun, you had a great day, and you had a good time playing or not playing, just hanging out with your family, chilling with your friends. I really, really hope you had a good day. Lots to discuss today. It's a very, very small week in terms of the matches that are being played. It's a blank game week. It's probably the biggest, it's definitely the biggest blank game week of this particular season. And I think a lot of people are kind of getting discouraged in terms of what to do and what to make in terms of their teams, their ranks. I see a lot of people losing interest in FPL. So we'll help you guys. We'll deal with all that crazy stuff that's gonna happen this week, as well as we'll kind of plan in terms of what we are doing for the coming game weeks. There's a lot of information as well, in case if you have not followed the information on FPL. There are a couple of double game weeks as well that are kind of coming in the near future. One is confirmed. 33 is the tricky one, which we'll also talk about today, and we'll see. As always, feel free to add any questions, any comments in the chat, anything that you want to know. I don't see a lot of questions this particular week in terms of which players to kind of go for. I think most of the questions were kind of towards, how many players are enough for this week. I think that's a huge, huge debate, huge question mark. As you see, I don't have a lot of players, and I'm kind of freaking out in terms of what needs to be done. So we'll deal with that. I think it's still a couple of hours to go. There's also some information around Rafinha and him being out with COVID and all that stuff. So we hope that we get some information on that, and we'll see. Happy Holi to all of you again. Hi Shan, I hope you had a great day and a safe Holi. And let me know if you guys play or not, because I generally don't play Holi. I think it's been a long, long time since I've played the festival, or I've played with colors, etc. I think when we were kids, this was a very regular sort of a thing happening. But as and when we've kind of grown elder, I think this festival, or what we do in this festival, has kind of changed. Hey Nigel, to you as well. Happy Holi to you. Thanks. I just thought that let's do something different. Of course, there are other ways to do things differently on a stream, but I thought that let's just start with something very safe. So I thought I would just wear a kurta, just because this is Holi and it's a festival today. So I mean, yeah. But thanks for the praise. Shreyash, hi to you as well. Thank you so much, man. Happy Holi to you as well. Generally have no idea what to do this week. Currently have Ramsdale, White, Saka, Son, Kulisevsky, Jimenez, Doherty, and Raf. I mean, yeah, I know a lot of teams are a lot better. I mean, when I say better, I don't necessarily mean that they have really great players which you might not have. It's just that people who kind of wildcarded in 26 and in and around that point, they are probably looking pretty decent in terms of how many players they are fielding this week, because I see a lot of players, a lot of managers who have wildcarded in 26. They have close to about 10, 11, that sort of a number. And for me, it was really, really hard to get. And I don't necessarily see a point of taking too many hits for this week to get in players which I necessarily do not want, because I know I'm pretty confident that this particular week could be a red arrow, and I'm okay with that, because I don't necessarily see a huge red arrow unless players like a Doherty, for example, or maybe a Wolves, couple of Wolves defenders, they start scoring goals and they start getting a lot of points. Then there might be a huge point swing, but I think in general, the loss probably won't be that huge. A lot of people asked me that you could have easily played a free hit, but I just see the value of a free hit in a 33 or a 36 a lot better right now in terms of the information that we have, rather than a 30, because fixtures just aren't there, right? So I understand it's a difficult week to do something or plan something, because of course you would want to get closer to at least 11 players this week, but I think it's a tricky call. Taking out Digne, I also had the same thought whether I really want to take out Digne. Now the thing is that yes, this week you could still have a Wolves defender, and if Rafinha is out, I mean, there's a really, really good chance that Leeds might get a clean sheet. Wolves might get a clean sheet, but I think in general, do you really want the Wolves defense for a longer period of time? Because if the results go the way they are expected to in the FA Cup, if the likes of Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, they all win the game that they have on the weekend, then Wolves are definitely going to have a blank game week in 33, right? So, and let's say if you don't have a lot of chips available, if you don't have the wild card available, 33 might be a difficult week to navigate. Again, that's just one possible scenario, right? So my thinking of not taking out Digne for a Wolves defender this week was that, first of all, I'll have to take a hit for it. I'm not sure whether taking a hit in such a safe sort of a week makes a lot of sense, because a lot of people already have a Wolves defender, right? And I would be, my maximum gain out of that hit might not be that much. Let's say Wolves just keep a clean sheet, is just a 2 point advantage that I get, right, from a hit. And my idea was that I probably might, not make that move and convert Digne to a Reece James, for example, maybe a Cancelo, for example, by downgrading one of my forwards, or somebody in midfield. So that's my thinking, and that's the reason I'm not doing it, because I was probably inching towards a Doherty, for example, who has decent fixtures in 31 and fixtures beyond that. But in general, I just don't see the upside of going for a Wolves defender, or going for a Spurs defender. If you're short on Arsenal defense, for example, then I think it might still be okay, because Arsenal could, and I think they should, have a double game week in 33, and then that will give you one more additional player, right? So depending on your strategy, depending on how many chips you have, I think that's the call that you take. I mean, going Digne to a Wolves defender is absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that I am just not up for that kind of strategy, especially when it's for a hit. Maybe if it's a free transfer, I'll probably still do it, but not for a hit. Happy Holi to you as well. Thanks, Praveen. Thank you so much. Thanks, Shan, for your nice praise. Thank you so much. Nigel, your team, we'll get to it. So you have Sa, you have Regulon, you have Shar, Trent, Digne, Kulisevsky, Rafinha, Saka. You have Salah, Fraser, Kane. And in the subs, you have Ramsdale, Dennis, Broha, Rudiger. One free transfer and 0.6 million in the bank. Fraser out, Ruben Neves in. I mean, Ruben Neves is a huge punt, and only if you're willing to take a chance. I mean, you can do it, but again, not very very high on a Wolves midfield. Whether it's Podence, whether it's Neves. I mean, Neves generally gets his goals from way outside the box, and he doesn't get that every week. There's not a lot of assist potential as well. So I personally won't do it. I Even if I'm doing a risky move, right? I'll probably still do a Barnes, for example. I'll get in a Barnes or a Madison, a Leicester attacker who might still have a double game week in 33. Right. So that's the strategy that I at least have. It totally depends on your strategy, or how many free hits you have, if you have the wild card available or not. So it will totally depend on that. But personally, I'm not too sure on Neves. I mean, with Fraser out, I don't even think you can get in a Madison with that amount of money. Let's just quickly check. Fraser is 5.8, maybe something like that. Let's just quickly check it. 5.3, so he's very cheap. 5.9 would not definitely get you any Leicester midfield at all. So I mean, you can take that chance, but not. I personally am not too big on it. What did you study? I of course did my graduation, did my post graduation. Graduation. I'm not a science student. I was a commerce graduate, and I did my MBA in marketing as well. Rafinha rumors were false, apparently. Yes. Again, he's traveled with the squad, but I'm not even sure whether that's official information. I've also saw the same tweet that he's traveled with the team, but I doubt that it's come from a regular or a official source. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people are saying it's false news in terms of the news being, or him having COVID was a false positive as well. So not too sure, but again, I personally won't really panic unless we really really get some information from some official source in the next an hour or so. I don't think so there's any need to panic. I mean, if you are on a free hit, then I mean, there's probably upside in going for somebody else, maybe a Barnes, maybe a Christian Eriksen, considering, because everyone would be having Rafinha. And if you want to kind of differentiate, again, you don't have to differentiate, but if you're willing to take that risk, willing to take that chance, I mean, then it's probably the only scenario I personally would suggest to change Rafinha. Otherwise, I'll just keep him. Should I take out Son for Madison or Coutinho and get in Kane for a -4? But knowing my luck, if I get in Kane, he will blank and Son will bang. I mean, a lot of people are saying that this particular game might be better for Son. I personally don't think it's going to be that easy. So there are two sides of this coin, right? Of the West Ham and the Spurs game. West Ham have played a lot of minutes very recently in Europe, so they would be tired. But West Ham are a team who would try to go defensive, or at least who would sit deep against this Tottenham team. And Tottenham don't like to play with the ball, with the ball. Tottenham generally don't like playing with the ball a lot, in the sense that if a team is sitting back, if it's sitting deep, Tottenham generally finds it difficult to kind of break down oppositions, create a lot of chances. They really like to play on the counter, where the likes of Harry Kane kind of drops deep, and then you have runners like Kulusevski, for example. You have Son as a runner as well, and those are the situations where Conte has also been doing really well, right? So this is a game which could be very tricky for Spurs. But the advantage is that West Ham would be a little tired. They could be a little nervy as well. I feel it's a must-win game for both the teams, but I think it's a must-win game for Tottenham for sure, because at this moment West Ham might just not focus on the league and might just kind of deviate to Europe for that matter. So I mean, it's a tricky situation, to be honest. But I probably I mean, yes, Son could do really well, and is the switch for a hit worth it? In the longer run, it probably is, because Kane is a better captain this week. Kane is a better asset overall. I think Kane is generally the better player at this moment. He's playing with a lot of confidence. Son's returns, his underlying stats, his XG numbers, they've reduced by a lot. He was literally outperformed heavily by Kulusevski in the double game week 29 fixture. So, I mean, it's not really the worst scenario, but yeah, I think I personally would do it. But if you don't feel, or if your gut is not saying that, probably just stay away from it. I mean, if you have the likes of Son and a Kulusevski with a Doherty, I mean, that's enough to kind of cover off Kane. But I personally would prefer Kane at this moment. Son or Barnes for captains, on the slightly safer option, I would say Barnes could be a risk, because I think he also played a lot, many minutes in the last game as well. And I mean, there are chances that he can get rested. I just don't trust Barnes enough. I mean, there's a chance that he still plays. I mean, still starts, but for captaincy, I mean, it's very risky. I'll probably captain a Ivan Tony, for example. I know not a lot of people would prefer Ivan Tony, and considering that he's blanked a lot and he's only scored majority of his goals in the last couple of game weeks, and most of them have been penalties as well. So that's that. But I think out of the two options, I'll definitely go Son. Thoughts on Salah to Barnes? Um, I mean, you can do that. Salah to Barnes is definitely an option this week, and you can, if you have Rafinha or somebody like that in your team, you can probably do the switch next week, because Leeds are expected to blank in 33, and then you would definitely need Salah. I mean, you cannot continue without Salah. So if you have a plan for Salah, let's say there are two situations here. If you have a wild card in 31, then I think it makes a lot more sense to just get rid of Salah and get him back on the wild card. Just see how much value you would lose there. But in general, I think that's a solid plan. The other option is if you have something like a Rafinha, for example, who you could trade out, for Salah, and keep Barnes for the double 33. And long term pick, I think Barnes is looking really good. So if you have that kind of a plan in place, both the options available, I mean, definitely do Salah to Barnes. But in general, I in isolation, I won't do this move. This week in so uninspiring, I am currently on Kulu captain. I mean, it is, but I think there's not a lot to gain, to be very honest. I mean, let's say if Kane blanks, for example, I'm pretty sure Kane is going to be the most captain by a mile. I mean, I don't think there's going to be any kind of competition there. So if you have a Kulisevsky, you have a Tony, you have a Barnes, for example, and they do really well, I mean, that there could be a lot of variance there. There could be a huge point swing, right? And that's probably the only way you can gain. I probably can lose a huge deal if Wolves keep a clean sheet. I'm definitely going to lose out on a lot of points if Wolves keep a clean sheet, because I don't have any Wolves players. And generally, people have at least one Wolves defender in there, right? And they'll definitely play him this week, because you're anyway short of players. So yeah, I mean, it's not very. It's just a week where you just have to pass it, and you have to just get over it to kind of Then start the the meaty stuff, the actual good stuff, where 31 you start planning what to do with your 33 game week team, whether you're using a free hit or maybe you have a wild card available. If you don't have anything available, then it's a completely different situation where now you have to plan through transfers, etc. So I think that's where the good stuff is going to start. When are you planning your next free hit, gaming 33, 36? I mean, right now, to be honest, I'm open to both options. I have I have players from Arsenal who are definitely doubling. I probably will get to a Barnes, maybe in 33, maybe a Madison if we get certain information about who's the better asset in terms of minutes by then. If Madison is fit enough to start, I mean, I can definitely do that transfer in 33. Probably not before that. Depending on if City get a double, if they lose in the FA Cup, they will get a double. If they get a double, I might just do free hit in 33. I mean, there's a high upside there because the free hit in 33 makes a lot of sense because you might not want to keep. I mean, I know I'm contradicting myself by saying this, that you might not want to keep United assets for a long time, but probably if you don't want to keep them for a long time, why would you even want to get them for at least a week, right? But I mean, for a week, they might still do it. United might definitely doesn't have anything to play for. I mean, yes, top four is still there, but I mean, they could still improve in terms of performances, etc. And they're a team that I probably won't want for a longer period of time. So that's definitely one. I mean, then there are other teams who have double game weeks, but do I necessarily want all those players or all those uh, different players from those kind of teams? Maybe not. Maybe I'm not too sure. So 33 is definitely an option for the team. I'll just quickly just give me a moment. I'll just open the screen in terms of the doubles for this particular for 33 and 36 as well. Let's discuss 36 as well now that we're talking about it. Let me just quickly check that. Yeah, so 36 would probably give me an advantage. Let's say if I want to get to if I don't have City players, for example, and say you don't double in 33, right? Then there's a high chance that 36 definitely would be having at least doubles for Chelsea, for the likes of City. And depending on how many players I have from these teams, because I might not have a Havertz, for example. I have Rudiger from Chelsea. I don't have any City assets. And if I don't have any City players, or City have decent fixtures, then if I probably, try to build towards a 33 team and, I kind of not use my free hit in 33. 36 is also an example or an option to play my free hit or the other way around as well. So right now I'm very very open. I probably want to wait till the FA Cup fixtures and the results in terms of which teams are going through, because after these fixtures, after the FA Cup results, we will actually get an understanding of which teams are doubling in 33 and which teams are most likely to have a double in 36 as well. So I think post that I'll make my decision, but right now I'm keeping it very fluid, keeping it very open, and probably we'll see. I mean, I can do it for 33 as well, because as the reason I mentioned, right, might not want United players for a long time, and that could give me an advantage as well. So let's see. Pretty open at the moment. No funds for Leicester, use wildcard and have free hit and bench boost available. How about Moutinho? I personally don't like any worlds. I mean, they're not really very valuable or very depend. I won't say valuable. They're not really very dependable options for a sustained period of time. You can't just trust a Wolves midfielder for a set of fixtures or for continuous game week. So I still won't go there. Thoughts on Bamford for Weghorst? Bamford for Weghorst till 32 as he's looked good in the previous game. I mean, yes, Bamford is still an option. It's a risky differential, I would say. See, Weghorst, he's doubling in 31, then he's doubling in 33. That's pretty much certain, right? And Burnley generally don't score a lot of goals. They would not score goals. I mean, but at the same time, they would be in that dogfight for relegation. So there could be some extra motivation there. Weghorst would be getting two additional fixtures. So I would still prefer Weghorst over Bamford. I just feel because of the extra fixture, I'm giving myself an opportunity to get two additional fixtures in this case. I know Burnley have been pretty bad, but I still probably would back Weghorst over a Leeds player. So I'll definitely have Weghorst over Bamford. I know Bamford's returning. He could do well. I mean, the Bamford Rafinha combination could click, but I'll just probably stick with the player which has an extra fixture. I mean, this week, this season particularly, I think it's been very different from how FPL is played generally. People who have been very aggressive this season, who have kind of taken a few risks, gone for a few differentials, they've kind of stuck to a template or gone towards a template much before the template became a template, right? They have done really well. And this is the season to kind of go very aggressive, or probably chase these double game weeks, because generally in a normal season, if you're playing this game for the first time, in a normal season you won't be getting these many double game weeks, right? It's just because of how COVID has happened and the pandemic has happened, and so many games got rescheduled, cancelled at that particular moment. That's why we're having these many game weeks. Otherwise, in general, I would have probably preferred a Bamford over a Weghorst. But just because there are additional fixtures here, I probably would want to go to Weghorst. What are my transfer plans? My transfer plans for this week, I've already made the transfer. Kulusevski has come in for Willock. Willock doesn't have a game this week. He has a chance of a double. I think there is a confirmed double there, but I just don't trust Willock. I mean, in generally what I've seen, Fraser looks like the better option over a period of games, but I just don't trust. I mean, it was a punt. It didn't kind of work out. So I think it was a time to kind of get away from Willock and at least get a decent option who's been doing really well for Spurs. Spurs have okay fixtures. I mean, their fixtures are decent. So sticking to Kulusevski is not a huge problem. I would have probably gone a little ahead and gone for someone like a Barnes and taken a few risks there as well, but I couldn't afford Barnes because I didn't have any money in the bank here. So kind of stuck to Kulusevski, and he was probably the best option, uh, considering the budget that I had. So that was my plan this week. I was contemplating to go to Dinier to Doherty, which I've already mentioned. I didn't. Next week, again depending on the doubles in 33, I might go for a James, for example. I might if I'm free hitting, then I don't really have to worry. If I'm free hitting in 33, then I don't really have to worry a lot about these United players or the other team that I probably would want to focus on. I'm okay building a squad towards 36, which will have a Cancelo, which will probably have a Rudiger plus James option. I might keep Trent and Robertson, depending on whether Trent is fit or not. There's also a news that Trent is injured at the moment, so it'll be interesting to see whether he comes back, after the international break. Because if he doesn't, and if it's a sustained injury, or he's out for a longer period of time, then there's good, value in going downgrading a Trent to a James. That's an easy switch, or maybe a Trent to a Cancelo as well. But I mean, at some point, you would still want Trent in your team. So I think it'll be interesting. But depending on whether I'm free hitting in 33 or 36, I think my plans could change. With the form Kane is in, just wondering, would he compete with Salah for the Golden Boot? I mean, he's still very far off in terms of the goals scored. I think he's definitely quite far at the moment. I think Salah's on 20, if I'm not wrong. Let's just quickly see. Yeah, Salah's on 20. Kane is on 12. I mean, 8 games to go. 9 games to go. But Salah is not playing this week. Yeah, I mean, looks a bit tricky. Kane has decent fixtures though. He has Newcastle, not an easy game still though. Brentford is decent. Leicester, Burnley, Norwich. Then Arsenal has to be rescheduled. So he has decent games, but I still feel he's quite far off. I mean, Salah is expected to score more goals, right? And the fixtures of Liverpool, I think, are probably better than what Spurs have at the moment. They have Watford in 31, then they have Everton in 34, they have Newcastle in 35, Southampton 37. So I think the fixtures are better for Salah to at least keep his position in terms of the most number of goals scored this season, or the Golden Boot. Any suggestions on who to replace for Trent? I mean, if you really want to get out Trent and not have him in your team, there is an option to go James. If we feel, or if we have an information, have some idea about his position in the lineup and his position in the Chelsea 11, and if we are guaranteed that spot, then I think James is really good. If you don't have Cancelo considering that you sold him on your wild card or you took him out for a Robertson, for a Rudiger, for a James, anyone for that matter, I think Cancelo could also be an option. I think I'm okay not having two Liverpool defenders. If Trent is fine, I'm okay having Trent, Cancelo, Rudiger, and James as well. I think that's also a solid combination because Chelsea has some really good games. They have Brentford, Southampton, Leeds. Then gets a little tricky with Arsenal, West Ham. Then they have Everton, Wolves, Watford. They also have a game against Leicester that needs to be rescheduled. So I think there are a lot of good fixtures for Chelsea, and a double up on Chelsea might be the better way to go. But yeah, Cancelo and I think James are really really good options. I'm still no clue on what my question is yet. I mean, there's still a long time to go. It's still an hour and a half roughly to go for the deadline. So I'm pretty sure you'll get that question. Tierney or Regulion, sorry. Mm, I mean, Tierney is also not done that well in terms of going forward, and his attacking numbers are not that promising. He's a sure shot starter in the team, but whether he's going to get any attacking returns, I'm not too sure. From a game perspective or number of fixtures perspective, I think Tierney is better because he's definitely doubling in 33. Uh, so you'll get an extra fixture out of Tierney. I mean, Arsenal's defense is definitely better than Tottenham in terms of keeping clean sheets. So if you really ask me, I think Tierney's probably the better option. But I mean, in terms of attacking threat, sole attacking threat, I think Regulon is definitely better. But he's also not that great in terms of his finishing. His end product is still lacking, and I think Tierney is definitely the better option. Looking at the better option. Coutinho to Barnes or roll. I won't do Coutinho to Barnes. I mean, you're not really gaining any player. I think it's better to roll the transfer and the value of an additional transfer. That's what people are probably not understanding this week. I mean, the value of an additional transfer for game week 31, whatever your strategy is, whether unless you're really wildcarding in 31, I think that value of the additional, player that you can get in your team without having to take a hit, I think that's going to be massive. And if you can, and in this case you really can, I probably suggest you to, just roll the transfer. Pereira, Amati, or Cash. Don't trust the Leicester defense, to be very honest. Amati looks nailed, probably nailed. I was a little concerned whether when Fofana comes in, what's going to happen with Amati. But Soyuncu was dropped in the last game. So Amati probably could be nailed, but it's too difficult to kind of ascertain that. I think Fofana is definitely going to be a regular player, and he's also cheap. He's not as cheap as Amati, but he's probably somewhere between Amati and Pereira. I'm not too sure about Pereira as an option. I'll definitely suggest Cash. Out of these three players, definitely Cash. I think this week I know it's going to be a bit tricky because Arsenal is not going to be an easy game at all, and Arsenal can score even against a decent Villa defense. And Cash might not end up getting a clean sheet. Whether he can really bomb forward and create a lot, maybe get an attacking return against Arsenal, it looks a bit tricky. I don't think so. It's a very open sort of a game. I think it's going to be a pretty close game. But having said that, I still feel Cash is way better than Pereira Amati. Madison or Barnes or Rafinha, I think if I really have to choose one, I'll go for Barnes. Gives you an additional game in 33, better long term pick. Madison not nailed as Barnes. His numbers have also not been that great. Definitely inferior to Barnes, whether you talk about creative output, whether you talk about goal threat, and he's not getting minutes as close or anywhere close to a Barnes. So I definitely would say Barnes, Madison, then probably Rafinha. I mean, Rafinha's done. I mean, he really plays well when if you see Leeds playing, and if from the eye test perspective, Rafinha really manages to dodge a lot of FPL points. I mean, his XG generally in the games where Leeds have done well, it just goes to the roof. But he's just too unlucky, or he just finds a way to not give us FPL returns. I mean, he's quite literally become the troll player of FPL. So I mean that's that. So Rafinha is probably at the end. Uh, Thank you so much, Ibrahim. Thanks for that lovely comment. Everton players are such a scam. I mean, yeah, they are, aren't they? Uh, Still worth getting them for the double game week 31. I personally won't, but if you really want to take a chance, I mean, would you really want to give up that, very premium midfield spot for a Gordon, for a 4.5 million Gordon? Maybe not. In terms of attack, I mean, there's still a chance if you're targeting a third, forward player, because Kane definitely looks like the one to have right now. He should definitely be priority. Second could be one of Adams or Broha. I think Broha for value, considering that he's a lot cheaper. Though Adams has been getting decent. I mean, not decent, but he's been getting some returns. 3 goals in the last 6, 7 games and 1 assist as well. 2 assists there. So I mean, he's still better than Broha in terms of returns, at least in the recent games. So one of the Southampton attackers, then Kane. Third spot is where things get a bit interesting because you can go multiple ways here. You can take a chance on Lacazette, but whether he's value for that 8 odd million price that he's at, maybe not, because again, he's not a very great goal scoring forward player for Arsenal, right? He again something like a Firmino does, where he tries to drop deep and try to place the runner on either side, and that's why his creative numbers are up there, because he's creating a lot of chances, he's feeding in a lot of balls for the likes of Martinelli and Saka as well. So that's one option, but that the third spot is actually interesting. Like Tony for this week looks really good, but beyond that, I'm not too sure. Uh, if you want to take a punt, I mean Daka, but I personally won't go towards Daka. I mean, you can take a punt on one of Richarlison and Calvert Lewin, but and probably change them to a different attacker. But I personally, I'm not going towards an Everton player at all. I mean, it's just too difficult to predict what they're gonna do, right? So I personally won't suggest getting in an Everton player. But if you want to go, I think that forward spot is where you can really kind of take a punt and do certain things differently. Because I would not want to give up my fifth midfielder spot for a Gordon. I mean, he's absolutely cheap, and he's probably a great bargain at that price. But premium spots are too important, right? You're losing out on a clean sheet point from Everton. Everton are not generally going to keep a lot of clean sheets. Uh, Whether Gordon's going to score majority of the times, maybe not. And that way you're losing an additional point of a goal scored. That's also there. So there are a lot of factors to consider, and I probably won't go there. Does Dini to cash make sense this week, and then cash to James or Rudiger next week, even if cash blanks? Might just get appearance points. I mean, it's a tricky game to call. He could blank, but then again, Villa might just keep it very tight and might just nick a clean sheet. So you might just get something in return. I mean, Dini to cash is okay if you want to do it. If it's for a free transfer, maybe yes, but don't take a hit for it for sure. I mean, I personally won't take a hit for this. But yeah, Dini to cash, I probably would do it, and then shift to a James. I think James has massive upside, and if he's fit, right? If we get that information that he's fit and he can get, or he can give us minutes, I'll definitely go James. I have 2 free transfers, wildcard and a bench boost. A free hit 33 and 37. Wildcard before bench boost 36 sounds good. I mean, it sounds good. In an ideal world, in an idealistic FPL space, which is a myth probably. But I mean, yeah, decent strategy. I like the free hit in 33, like the free hit in 37 as well. Not a lot of people probably would be going for 37. A lot of people would have already used their wildcard by then, the free hit by then, sorry. And I think you would be definitely at an advantage. A lot of people would use it just before that week, which is 36. And, you can cover that off with a bench boost if you have a decent bench. Wildcarding in 34 and 35, depending on, what fixtures you're targeting, what players you're targeting, and what teams are you targeting for the 36 bench boost and that 37 free hit. I think that's going to be crucial, but I like it. I mean, it's a good plan. Is it worth a -8 to field 11 this week? I mean, that's not very straightforward. It really depends on what players are you getting in. I mean, if you're getting an Arsenal defender, keeping in mind the game week 33 fixture as well, might just be okay. If you're getting in a Barnes, for example, might be okay. But if you're getting a player which you're probably taking out next week in 31, for example, then it might not be worth it to go for a -8. Again, also depends on the player that you're getting, right? But if you're getting a Spurs player, or let's say a Spurs defender, or Doherty, for example, which now a lot of people already have, or you're getting a Wolves defender, who blank in 33, but who are already owned by a lot of people, right? So you're not gonna get, unless that defender gives you an attacking return, you're not gonna get a lot, right? Because with the hit, you probably just gain 2 points, and it just might not be worth it. You might save that transfer, save that hit, take that chance this week. Maybe it's a small drop in places, but might be able to invest in a better player or make that additional transfer count a lot more. So that's my thinking here. Would you recommend anyone from Brentford midfield? I really like Christian Eriksen, but just for 1 week. I mean, if you're free hitting this week, or if you're just punting this week, and you probably already have a set plan for a Barnes or someone else in midfield, for example. I mean, definitely going for Christian Eriksen makes a lot of sense. Leicester have not been that great. In fact, Leicester are the worst team when it comes to defending from set plays and set pieces. They've conceded the maximum number of goals from corners. And guess what? Who's on corners and set pieces for Brentford? I mean, it has to be Christian Eriksen, and he's still a very good player, right? And if you really want to punt on somebody, why not go for somebody like an Ericsson? I think he's definitely the standout player, considering that he's also on set pieces, and that really helps with bonus points as well. So I think that really is a good option. But a massive punt. I mean, he's very cheap as well, right? So you're not really investing a lot of money. So depending on your strategy, later on as well. I mean, pretty decent option. If I'm not making any transfers and taking out Dini out as well. So is this 7 men starting 11? Starting 11, okay. I mean, Ramsdale, Doherty, White, Saka, Kulusevski, Son, Rafinha. So you heavily depend on. I mean, there are certain players that are clashing. So a Doherty and a Rafinha are clashing. So if Rafinha scores, my bad. Doherty is not playing Rafinha. Doherty is playing West Ham for sure. But yeah, I mean, Doherty and Jimenez along with Rafinha, Son. I mean, of course, you're heavily backing a Spurs result, and if they don't do well, then it's a bit risky. But I don't think so. Most of the people would anyways be having West Ham attackers. So if you're losing out on ranks and points, I mean, a lot of other people as well. It's not ideal. I definitely won't say, and I can't hide my face somewhere and say that having 7 players who are again competing against each other, that's ideal. But I mean, it's a low risk game week. I understand that there's no Wolves defense, and you might want to take a hit for a Wolves defender, stuff like that. But if it really matches your long term strategy, then probably do it. If you're well settled in terms of your chip strategy, if you're wildcarding next week, maybe take a hit for a player this week. But I mean, 7 to 8 players, and this 7, I mean, it's fine. It's not really bad because you have Kulusevski, you have Son as well. Not a lot of people would have this combination. A lot of people might have Kane plus Kulusevski. A lot of people won't have Kane plus Son as well, so that's also a great differential. But I mean, it's okay. Saka is decent. White is a decent option. It's gonna be a close game, but I'm comfortable with these 7. You have 8 players, William, and should I transfer Kane and Barnes in for Broha and Salah? Again, if you have a plan, as you just mentioning that you have a plan to bring back Salah in game week 31, if not just Broha for Iheanacho, I mean, Iheanacho is risky. Are you really, really comfortable saying or thinking or settling in that Iheanacho is definitely going to start ahead of Daka? I personally am not sure. Iheanacho and Daka, they don't really get into FPL returns at all. And if I really want to punt on somebody, I'll probably go to their midfield for a Madison or a Barnes rather than going for Iheanacho. So I'll probably take that chance and then get in Kane and Barnes because those are really good transfers for Broha and Salah. And then you bring back Salah in 31. I think that's a better play here rather than going for Broha, taking out Broha and getting Iheanacho. Iheanacho, I'm not too sure. Even if he starts games, right, I'm not too sure whether he's that great this season from an FPL perspective. Pick Ramsdale or Sa for keeper. I think I'll pick Sa. Ramsdale is a tricky option. He could still get save points, but Villa can definitely score against Arsenal. I'll probably, if Rafinha, I don't think so though Rafinha is out, but if he's out, I mean, even if he's there, right, there's a high chance that Wolves can nick in a clean sheet in this one. Are you rolling the transfer or getting in someone? I've already made my transfer. I've gotten Kulusevski in for Willock. That's my one free transfer. I'm only playing with 7 players this week. I'm not going very heavy with hits. I just don't feel it's a game week where hits could be justified, and it definitely not matches my long term thinking. So I'll probably avoid taking any hits. I want to take a hit for Doherty, but even if Spurs keep a clean sheet, I'll only be gaining 2 points, and there's a chance that Spurs might not keep a clean sheet, right? So Should I do Kulusevski, Odegaard, Barnes for Mount, Coutinho, and Ward-Prowse for a hit and two free transfers as I need to free up funds for Kane in next game week? Um, so taking out, you're getting in Kulusevski, you're getting in Barnes, you're getting in Odegaard. Two of the three players have also have fixture in 33. You're taking out Mount, Coutinho, and Ward-Prowse. I think I'll do it. This also helps you get Kane in next week. I would have wanted Kane this week, but I mean, as far as you have Kane in your team, which is kind of covering your basis for at least one good forward in your team, I think it's a decent move. I'll do it. We have two free transfers, and then you're not really taking a lot of hits, so I'll probably do it. Tony or Jimenez on a free hit, I'll go Tony for sure. Majority of the people still won't have Tony. People who are not free hitting this week, they won't have Tony. Maxim won't have Tony, and I think Tony is a great differential that in that regard. Shivam, happy Holi to you as well. I hope you had a great day. Why not playing free hit this week? I only have one free hit available. I don't see the upside of free hit in 30. Even if I'm playing the free hit, I will probably have half of this team as I have right now. And I just have maybe an additional Wolves defender, maybe a double up on Wolves rather than a double up on Arsenal, maybe. I could take a chance with an Ericsson, with a Tony, but I just don't see the upside. I mean, there's a high chance that Brentford don't score anything against Leicester, right? So people are expecting Tony to at least get a penalty or get a goal, Ericsson to do well on set pieces, etc. But FPL is a funny game at the end of the day, and Brentford might not do anything. So that the upside is definitely not there. I mean, I would love to do maybe even not free hit in 33, see what players I can get for the double game week 33, and then probably go for the higher upside game week, which is 36, where likes of Chelsea, like a James, for example, like a Havertz, for example, maybe even Man City, for example, they could have a double game week, and I think that would definitely give me more points than what I can get this week. Fixtures are also less, right? I mean, I would love to free hit on a double game week rather than a blank game week where fixtures are also not. I mean, there's not a lot to gain, and I don't think so. The loss is going to be massive. I mean, I'm definitely looking at a red arrow this week, but I think I'm happy taking it, and I'll be better off, making moves which are probably long term rather than just taking a lot of hits this week and probably try to field a closer 11, if you call it that. Let's just see if we have any news on Rafinha. I don't think so. There's anything official in terms of Rafinha. I mean, haven't seen anything in terms of in terms of Rafinha. Excuse me. Play Sa or Ramsdale. I'll among the two, I'll definitely prefer Sa this week. Captain Son, Saka, or Kulusevski. I'll definitely won't captain Saka, and generally when I say that, that particular player really does well. But I personally, this is again a very personal choice. Though Saka is still a good option, he was slightly disappointing in the double game week 29 fixtures. But I feel Son or maybe a Kulusevski might be a better pick here. Considering the current form, I think Kulusevski looks like a great option, and I don't think so he'll be captained by a lot of managers. So if you're chasing rank, if you're trying to take a few risks, I think Kulusevski is a really good option. Barnes or Madison, I'll go Barnes, considering that he's safer to start and he's a better long-term option. He also has better numbers than Madison when it comes to expected assists, expected goals, overall expected goal involvements. I think Barnes is definitely better. Happy Holi to you as well, Akshat. I hope you had a good day. Start Ramsdale or Sa. I'll start Sa. You have Tierney and size. I would probably won't double up on the Arsenal defense. I personally have it, but I just have it because of my regular team. That's why I have to play with them. But I like the Wolves double better than the Arsenal double this week, especially in defense. Didn't need to cash for 8 players this week using my free transfers or play 7 players this week. I like the idea of rolling the transfer and then having 2 transfers on 31. But again, depending on your strategy, whether you're free hitting in 33, whether you're wildcarding in 31, I think these are the kind of moves that you would want to think before making all these decisions. If you're wildcarding in 31, then definitely go for this transfer because you'll be anyways wasting that transfer. So do Digne to cash. Whether you really want to, I mean, there's a high chance that Villa also blanks in 33, right? So you'll be having another player who blanks in 33. You still have Digne, but you can get to maybe a James, maybe a Rudiger, or somebody else by, you know, adjusting some cash again, depending on how much cash you have. I personally will roll, but if you feel that you can get something out of cash this week against Arsenal, I mean, definitely go for it. You have two free transfers. Which transfer should I do? Digne to Amati or Coutinho to Barnes? I like Digne to Amati, to be very honest. I don't like Coutinho to Barnes this week. Coutinho still has a. I mean, he's playing Arsenal, so that's not going to be easy. And with the Coutinho to Barnes move, you're not really gaining an additional player. Digne to Amati will definitely help you get one more player. And again, if you have already used your bench boost, then Digne to Amati is really, really good because you would want to take out money from your bench and then put it into your playing 11. But if bench boosting is still left, and depending on when you're planning to bench boost 35, 36, that particular week, because Leicester would have three games that are need to be rescheduled as well. So Amati, I think, looks like a decent move. You'll end up saving some money as well. Who do you think is the best differential pick in midfield? This particular week, I really like Ericsson. I think literally nobody owns Ericsson in the game, and against a weak Leicester defense, I mean, pretty decent option. Other than that, other than Ericsson, I mean Kulisevsky and Son are no more differentials. Martinelli also as well. I'm not sure how much is Martinelli owned right now. Let's see how many transfers he got in this week. Yeah, so everybody's transferred in Saka as well. I like Martinelli as well this week. I think he's a really good differential. Whether on a free hit or not, I'll possibly go for Martinelli over a Saka. To be very honest, I know it's not something that most of the people would be doing, but I think I like Martinelli's chances. What I saw from him in the game week 29 double, I think that was really, really promising. So I think that could be a decent option. Barnes still looks like a differential at the moment. Madison is risky because I'm not too sure about his stats. So I think Madison could be tricky. If you're on a free hit, maybe a Wolves midfielder could be a differential pick as well. Maybe a Podence, for example. Does he even start though? I think he does. He could be a decent pick as well. So I think these three or four options are like good for this particular week as a differential pick. Would you recommend getting in a Leicester defender, but Tony's in form right now? I don't see. I mean, I don't really see this as a clean sheet game for any team. I mean, personally, I see goals for both teams. But Leicester defender is gonna help you, later on in the season where, depending on your strategy for bench boost, if you've played it already, I mean, you would probably want to keep a leaner and a cheaper bench. That helps. Amati, you know, looks like he's. It's difficult to say that he's nailed, but looks like that he's getting majority minutes. Fofana is also an option. I think Fofana is also pretty cheap. Uh, and they could give you a double in 33. And I think that is definitely confirmed. Yeah, Leicester's double is definitely confirmed. So I mean, there's a chance that you might just get away with the Leicester defender. Might not give you a clean sheet this week, but long-term planning, I think getting a Leicester defender is okay. Thoughts on Rafinha to Barnes instead of Salah to Barnes, and Salah in again on game week 31 will be saving a transfer. I mean, so you're saying Rafinha to Barnes can do as well. Long-term pick if it's not for a hit. I mean, you'll be saving a transfer for sure, and you're not taking a hit for it. So I mean, that's pretty decent. You need Spurs to go all guns blazing in us. I mean, yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. I really need an Arsenal clean sheet. So there are certain things that I really need for this week. I need an Arsenal. I'm okay if Coutinho doesn't get anything from the game, but I really need an Arsenal clean sheet with White and Ramsdale as a double up. And probably Martinelli scoring. I think that'll be great. I probably need Spurs to definitely score but concede as well. I mean, it's so weird, but score, get a goal or two. Kane definitely. I mean, I don't think so. There'll be a lot to gain from Harry Kane, to be very honest, because he'll be captained by almost everybody. So if a Kulisevsky does well, maybe that's a really good sign. And I definitely want Wolves to lose their clean sheet because I think that is where we lose out on a lot. I mean, absolute points loss would be massive if Wolves keep a clean sheet. So that's that. Rafinha's travel with the team. I mean, yeah, I did check his tweets as well. FPL focal. I did check his tweets, but that's what I think. That's what we'll roll with and we'll play with. And I don't think so. He will be missing out at all. So I think that's fine. We have two free transfers, so I need to use one of them. Thoughts on Dino to Amati? I mean, if it's a free transfer, I'll probably do it. Sets you up for the double game week 33 for Leicester as well. I think that's pretty decent. Will Pereira play 90? Let's see. Yeah, I think there was some sort of a switch in terms of screen. Anyways, I was saying so we were on will Pereira play for 90. I think he's not played in the Europa Conference League game. I think there's a high chance that he plays 90 in this game. I think he'll play 90. I'm planning to free hit in 33 and I've already used my wild card, so I have a solid squad with 2.3 in the bank. My initial plan for this week was to roll, but with Digne injured, I mean, if you're worried about 7 players only and if you have a free transfer to burn, I mean, it's not really to burn because I think the value for free transfer is massive this week. But I mean, if you have to go for take out Digne, I think Digne to Amati could be an option. Digne to a Wolves defender could be an option. There are multiple ways you can go. Amati will give you a fixture in 33 provided that he plays. A Wolves defender would most certainly blank in 33. So that's that. Play two from Madison, Barnes, Coutinho. I'll play Barnes and Coutinho, and I'll probably keep Madison on the bench. Rafinha return, Spurs clean sheet, Arsenal clean sheet, and a 1-1 in a Leicester Brentford would be perfect. I mean, yeah, I mean that's where we are right now. I mean, there's a lot that needs to go a person's way or in a particular way if you really have to gain anything from this week. I mean, is that's what I'm saying, right? It's not a week where there's massive upside where you'll end up losing so many ranks that there's no way back in the season. I feel that there could be people who have 11 players, at least they have their bases covered. Doesn't necessarily mean that they will still end up on a green arrow. Doesn't mean that. If Arsenal really do well, they keep a clean sheet. I mean, I can do well as well because double Arsenal defense plus Martinelli. I think it's okay. Non Wolves owners will pray Rafinha gets at least one return, or worse comes to worse, even Melia scoring just to take away the Wolves clean sheet. I mean, the second part of the thing is definitely not going to happen, but I mean, Gelhardt is also a decent option, but I don't think so. A lot of people are talking about Gelhardt. Uh, it'll be interesting to see what happens to him or how he fits into the team when Bamford kind of starts playing majority minutes. But I think I mean, Wolves. Yes, they do keep it tight at the back. Their defensive numbers are okay. Uh, but I generally feel Jesse Marsh has improved the Leeds team. They look like they're playing a system, and they look like they're playing certain. They have a game plan. I mean, it's still not it's still not as close to something that you would probably expect, and that would probably save them from relegation this season. But I just feel it's just coming, and yeah, there's a high chance that Leeds can score against Wolves. Doherty, Salah, and Broha out for Amati, Barnes, and Kane a -8. Already have Son and Kulu. I mean, depends on. I don't like the idea of a -8. Yes, you're getting two players as Amati and Barnes, but you can even get them later on. You getting Kane, that's a huge upgrade. Also depends on what your plan for Salah is, right? Because now that you won't be having Salah, what are you going to do with Salah? I mean, that's really really important. You already have Son and Kulu, so that kind of covers Kane in a way, and you already have Doherty as well. I probably won't. I know it's Kane is probably going to do, if Tottenham do well. I think Kane is definitely going to be involved, but I just feel I don't like the idea of this -8. If you have a plan for Salah, or if it's an alternate plan which doesn't involve taking two hits, I probably would kind of think in that direction. Jimenez or Inacho? Jimenez for sure. Team on free hit: Sa, Saiz, Tierney, Pereira, Saka, Kulusevski, Son, Coutinho, Barnes, Kane, Lacazette. Not sure about getting rid of Kulu and Pereira for Regulon and Matters. I probably won't. I'll play Kulusevski and Pereira. Yeah. What will be your strategy for double game week 33? Going big on double game week defense, like adding James and Cancelo to your team. Depends on if Chelsea and City lose. Because if they lose, they will definitely end up having a double game week. I think in that case, Arsenal doesn't have a double game week. So I'll probably, I mean, so 31, 32, 33, there'll be three free transfers that I'll be getting. And I can hop onto somebody like a James. If that's the possibility, if that's the case, if Chelsea are doubling, then I'll definitely get in, James. I think a combination of Rudiger and James is really powerful, and I think a lot of people would be taking hits for that sort of a combination. I might still end up taking a hit myself, but I think depends on the FA Cup results. If Man City and Chelsea don't have a double this week, in 33, sorry, I think they will most likely have a double in 36. And in that case, I think probably building towards a team in team for 36, and then probably free hitting in 33. I think that's probably the better option in this scenario, because would you really want players from Brighton, Burnley, Leicester? I mean, it's okay, but Newcastle as well. So this could be a game week which could be managed with regular transfers. I mean, it's not really a great double game week if you see, right? Yes, Arsenal, Southampton could double. If Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, if all three win, I think Arsenal and Southampton are likely to get a double. So in that scenario, I'll at least have 3 + 1, 4 players which are doubling. I might end up getting Weghorst as well, for 31 and 33. So that will be, and that could be my transfer in case if Chelsea and Man City don't double up in 33. So it depends. I mean, I can navigate 33 without a free hit as well. Now that I'm thinking out loud and thinking more about it, I don't really like too many options from these teams. I don't like Brighton. I don't like Burnley, and Weghorst from Burnley I think covers Burnley literally. Leicester could be managed with a Barnes transfer. I don't trust their clean sheet potential at all. Man United, I'm okay. I know one of the games for Man United would be, I think, Norwich, but the way we are playing, I won't be surprised if we lose to a Norwich side as well, which is probably the worst side in the Premier League at the moment. I know I'm being too critical about Manchester United, but it's just how things are at the moment. So it's not good, right? I probably would get in a couple of players, manage with 6, 7, maybe 8 doublers, considering and depending on who gets a double among Chelsea, Liverpool, or Man City. But I think 36 free hit is looking more likely here rather than a 33 free hit. Especially when I have a single free hit available, I think 36 is probably looking better. Cucho Fernandez, I think he's Fernandez only, right? Is someone I'm looking at as a third striker option. I mean, yes, but again, would you really want to go to a Watford striker? I know he's been doing well though. His returns have been decent. I mean, the solution between or solution for a Dennis and a King was this guy. So I mean, I don't know what to make of him yet. But I mean, he could be a decent punt. He's not expensive as well. He's just 5 million, and he scored 3 goals in the last 3 games, both goals against decent teams. I mean, Southampton have been on a downward kind of spiral over the last few weeks, defensively especially. Arsenal, they scored two, and he scored a great goal. I think that was a great goal that he scored. I mean, the third striker spot is actually quite tricky because you have a lot of options to kind of go for. You can possibly go for a Weghorst, but again, that really depends on how much you trust Burnley. you can take a chance on someone like a Daka. But just not sure how much he's gonna start. At least with a Watford striker, especially Cuco Hernandez, I think you are probably getting in regular minutes now. I mean, King has been off the radar completely, and he's not playing enough, and that's why Hernandez is getting a lot of minutes as well. So, I mean, it's tricky. Would you do you really think he's gonna start all games? Not too sure. Not too sure. Honestly, not too sure there, and that's why I probably won't go there. Maybe a Tony's good for this week, but his fixtures are okay. But would you really back a Brentford forward? Maybe not. Yeah. I mean, he's free. He definitely frees up funds from the bench. Jolinton and Wang. Jolinton was the wrong call. Absolutely. I mean, uh, when we talk about hindsight, we can talk about a lot of things that we could have done differently, and certain calls that we probably wouldn't have taken. But I mean, Jolinton was always a tricky decision. But Wang as well, right? I mean, how confident of are you of Wang being very very consistent now? He's also probably out as well. I think he suffered a dead leg, but I'm not too sure whether he'll. But I think he should be fine. It doesn't seem anything very serious, to be very honest. I think he should be okay. But yeah, I mean, among those two, definitely Wang was the better option. Still not sure about his consistency in terms of returning FPL points. Broha could be an option. I mean, if Southampton double in 33, I think Broha could definitely be an option. Mm, Whether you really want to go for a new other any maybe a Wood, maybe not. It's tricky. Ronaldo could be a great option, but again, the price point or the difference between his price and then somebody like a Jolinton or a Wang is massive, right? So I think a lot of people would still go for Ronaldo on a free hit. But yeah, I mean, third striker is where things get really interesting because you can go multiple ways, and Lacazette is an option as well, slightly more expensive. So let's see. I mean, a lot of ways you can actually think of in terms of the third striker spot. Rolling my transfer now, thinking I mean, two free transfers are really important, and they can be big. I mean, it's a. I'm actually prepared for a red arrow, to be honest, and I'm most likely gonna get a red arrow, and that's absolutely fine. I mean, you just look at the. FPL is a lot about looking at the bigger picture as well, right? I know this season has been a lot about reacting to uh, current information or recent information or the recent game week and trying to attack that game week. But I think in this particular case where you're getting a stage where you're gonna get a few double game weeks, you're gonna get a few games from Leicester who have a lot of games to be rescheduled, Burnley as well who have two doubles coming up very very soon. I think that value of a second transfer could be massive. I mean, yeah, when you've gone for a consistently consistent run where you've gotten green arrows on a regular basis, right? I mean, getting a red. Even I have when I was seeing my own statistics and my own, you know, uh, game week history. I think in the last probably about 13 or 14 green game weeks, I've probably gotten just two red arrows, and I think, of course, it's a matter of pride, and it really makes you confident in your team and in terms of what decisions you're taking. I think that's really important. I mean, it's a strange thing, but I think I still feel momentum or a consistency is also something in FPL, which probably not a lot of people think about because you might think that 1 week could be very different from the other week, but I think when you're on a good run, you tend to make good decisions, and if things are going your way, I think the luck also favors you. I mean, there it is definitely a game where there's a lot of element of luck involved, especially in the last couple of seasons, right? So Thiago Silva to Regulon for a -4 to get playing 11 and then getting. I mean, I won't do it when you're just trying to get him back. I personally won't do it. I'm okay. I'm okay playing 9 or 10 players as well. Are we really going to end up with a back five of Trent, Robertson, Rudiger, James, and Cancelo? I mean, that is massive, right? Look at the amount of money that is there in that back five. Great value pay. So that's what, right? A lot of people think that they're defenders, but they're actually playing like midfielders, right? But they're getting better returns as compared to midfielders in that price point. I mean, if you look at Trent, his value is immense. I mean, he's probably 8.5 million, something like that. Even Cancelo is 6.9 now. I think he's probably dropped over the past. Yeah, he's definitely dropped over the past few weeks. Trent is 8.5, Robertson 7.2. That's just huge value. And I mean, I still feel the better value in terms of going for a 6 million midfielder, a 6.5 million midfielder, stuff like that. I just feel, and they are playing for premium teams, good defenses. They are all attacking defenders who tend to get up, get into bonus points, who tend to get attacking returns as well. Look at the likes of Trent and Robertson, who are massive on assists, on chance creation. Rudiger and we know the potential of James, right? It was unlucky that he got injured and all that stuff, but his ceiling is so high that even if he doesn't end up playing the second game or the second consistent or consecutive game, you still might just recover all those points in one single game week, which we saw, and that swing, that variance was huge for from going for a Rudiger to a James. Rudiger also got benched in the second game, so it was absolutely crap. But that's what that was. I mean, if Me's back, Roberts at 4.4. I mean, yeah, he could be okay, uh, but I mean, it's Burnley, so they will be in the relegation scrap as well. Things could still look okay, but they need to score goals. I mean, keeping clean sheet is definitely great, but then if they have to really get out of the relegation zone, I think they have to score goals. And if I'm really punting on somebody, I might as well punt on a Weghorst who still look okay. But yeah, I mean, your point is correct. If me is back, Roberts at 4.4, it could be a decent bet, but I just don't see Burnley keeping a lot of clean sheets, to be honest. And I probably would attack the or back the attacker in this case. So if you're gonna free hit in 36, then I will be bench boosting in 33. I mean, it depends on the team that I have at that moment. I could still. I mean, you don't have to really bench boost on a double game week, right? I mean, you can still bench boost if I let's say if I get players from Brighton, Burnley, Leicester, United, Newcastle, or if I have a decent 11 and I have a decent bench as well. Right now, my bench is okay. I mean, I don't like King, to be honest. He's a worthless player. Adams, I have right now. So of course, I have Salah. Salah is not going to be on the bench, but I'll probably have my replacement for Digne on the bench, or maybe Coutinho again, depending on which player I play. I'll definitely have Adams and I'll have King. Adams would have a double. Mostly he'll have a double in 33. Uh, King I don't like, and I just don't feel very comfortable. But I'll definitely be changing King to maybe a Weghorst. So I might bench boost in 33 depending on what transfers I make in 31, 32, and then 33. I might just bench boost in 33. Not really, out of question here. Regulon for Digne. I like Doherty better. A lot of people are saying that Doherty might get benched because he was substituted in the last game. Conte was not happy and all of that stuff, but I'm just not sure. I just feel Doherty is a better asset when it comes to him, or when it comes to the attacking output that both these wing backs could give you. Clean sheet points remains the same for both. Who is more nailed? Maybe Regulon at this moment because Sessegnon is out for a longer period of time. So I think Regulon's probably slightly more nailed. And I mean, there's a chance that Royale could come in for Doherty, but I just feel Doherty is the way much better pick. I think he's played well. I think he deserves his spot. I mean, Spurs defense is still questionable in a lot of ways, but I just feel I'll probably go Doherty for Digne. If I really have to make this move, I'll probably get in Doherty. Your plan is to put Salah back on the game week 31 for Son out. Already have Trent and Robertson on the bench right now. So thinking of Kane long. Yeah, I mean Kane long term is good. Is really really good. Son out for Kane. I mean once you get Son out, you might be getting Kane at that moment, and I think that's a good move. Thoughts on the UCL draw? I think they're really good fixtures. I mean, there's a high chance of City and Liverpool coming facing each other in the final. I think that'll be really really interesting. I think two Premier League teams competing with each other, in the Premier League, because now the Premier League is also the race to win the league is also now gotten really really interesting. And I think Chelsea Madrid is going to be a great game. I've been reading a few stats about the game, and I think This could be a really good. I mean, if Chelsea win against Madrid, that's gonna be huge, and they did end up beating Madrid last season as well, right? So I think that's gonna be a huge game. In general, I think I like. Let's just quickly look at the draw. I mean, Liverpool have a really good team. I don't see Atletico Madrid beating Man City, to be very honest. I mean, I think Liverpool should win their game and Bayern should win their game. So I think there's a high chance that it could be an all English final. So interesting. I think it would have been a little more interesting if we would have had probably slightly more tougher fixtures for certain teams. I mean, Bayern looked like they could easily win, but again, there are no easy games in the Champions League at all. And Emery again could be decent against Bayern. You never know. Liverpool looks like they're gonna win it. At least this particular game, the quarterfinals at least. But yeah, I mean, could have probably preferred much tighter contest, but I think we probably anyways get that in the semifinals. But yeah, I mean, not too disappointed with the draws, considering that there's a possibility of an all English final. Yeah, decent. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. If I free hit this week, will I lose my free transfer? Yes, you will. It won't roll. If you have, or if you will be saving that free transfer, and if you free hit, that transfer is gonna go. So you'll next week you're still gonna have just one free transfer. Should I free hit with 7 players without Kane? I won't. I will still play with 7 players. I don't think so. You need to really free hit. If you have 7 players and you don't have Kane, you still don't have to play the free hit. The better weeks, 33 and 36, with higher upside, and I think you can play a free hit that time. People don't talk a lot about this, but I think people who are used to who use the wildcard in 24 like you and me have come out really well till this game week after all the confusion of the wildcard and turning. I mean, yeah, I think it was going early on the wildcard was really good. There were a couple of weeks which were really damaging. Uh, but I mean, overall, I feel very happy that we used the triple captainship as well in the right week. I think that was also a huge moment because I think a lot of people used their wildcards in the week where we used our triple captainship on Salah, considering that there were those two easy fixtures. And I think, though I've still seen a few teams doing really well, playing the wildcard that week, and but again, this triple captain was a huge loss or a huge disappointment for Salah captainers because I think very unlucky to not get 180 minutes out of Salah. A person or a player who doesn't get injured got injured in this particular week, where people were putting the armband, putting the triple captainship on him. So a bit unlucky there. Should I roll the transfer or get a Leicester mid? My team is Ramsdale, Cody, Doherty, Tierney, Son, Rafinha, Coutinho, Jimenez, Lacazette. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, I'm pretty happy with 9 players. Depending on who you're taking out as well. I mean, you can make that move, and you can save as well. The Leicester mid could be bought for 33 as well, depending on your strategy. Whether you're playing your free hit in 33, whether you're just uh, playing with a full team or playing with a team with regular transfers. I think I'll probably roll. I think 9 is good enough for getting an average score in the game this week. I think I'll probably roll my transfer. Would you do Salah to Son this week? And then Son to Salah this week after. I don't have to worry about injuries in the international as my bench is stacked. I mean, anyone can get injured in the international break, but yeah. Um. So Son to Salah, Salah to Son, sorry, this week, and then the reverse next week. I mean, it's okay. You're getting Son. I'm not sure whether how many Tottenham players you have, and then if you have a decent cover up with Kane, with somebody like a Kane, for example, or Doherty, maybe Kulusevski, I think that's okay to make this move. But I would still want to have at least one or maybe two attackers from Tottenham, considering that their fixtures are decent. Their fixtures are not bad. I'm sure they're not doubling in 33, but the fixtures are still okay. They're playing Newcastle, Villa, Brighton, Brentford. I mean, I'd probably do the move. Is Dini out for this game week? Yes, he's definitely out for this week. He's joined the French team, France, for the international break or the international games, but he's definitely going to be out for this week. There's an outside chance that he might play the second game that France have, and then he could be available for 31. I mean, there's a slight chance of that happening. But if the FA Cup results go the way they're expected to, I think he's definitely going to blank in 33. So that's also a side note. Willock Broha to Kulusevski, and is this Cucho Fernandez, or who's this player? I mean, am I missing something here? Is it Kulusevski? It's definitely one is Kulusevski. I'm not sure what the other one means. Maybe I'm missing a name here. Atletico can still beat Man City. I mean, they can, but I just feel City would probably. I think this is probably the last chance for, or I think the last attempt that Pep is probably really gonna give it his all. So yes, they're not. Atletico know how to play that dirty game, right? I mean, if you saw the game against United, they didn't let United play at all in the second half. But right now, you cannot really compare United to a Man City. So Man City could still end up having possession, and Atletico can definitely beat them on the counter. Yeah, I mean there are chances, but I still back City with the strength that they have. But Atletico are a tough team to beat, especially in the later stage and the later half of the competition. I think Atletico are always a tough side to beat. So it's probably going to be not that easy to call. Maybe what I said earlier, that Man City will definitely beat Atletico. It could be a lot closer as well, but I just feel Man City would edge this one. Yeah, I mean City are definitely favorites, but Atletico aren't out of it. So you have Kane and Kulusevski. I'll do that move. I'll do that move. Yeah, I'll make that move. Great, guys. Still a long time to go. We have about 45 minutes before the deadline. We approach the deadline or we reach the deadline. Let's just look. We have any news, anything on lineups, etc. I mean, there's a lot of tweets about the Rafinha stuff. Some large Leeds accounts saying that Rafinha traveled with the team. Others saying that he's got COVID. Literally, nobody has any idea. I think we'll have to wait till lineups, but let's see if we get any news on lineups closer to the deadline. It's still 45, almost 40 minutes to go. I'll still probably hold Rafinha. I mean, yeah, I don't think so. Uh, I really don't think so. There's any point of getting rid of him unless you're on a free hit this week. People in India would be really, really tired today by now after a long session. I mean, yeah, for a lot of people, this would have been a very, very long day, especially for the people who really play holy and do the other stuff associated with it. But yeah, I mean, it was a long day for me as well. I was planning to get some sleep, couldn't manage to do that. There was F1 practice as well. The first two practice sessions of the F1 season, so was watching that as well. So yeah, long day. It was a long day. Him and his captain. I mean, him and his captain is a bit tricky. I won't do it. The better captaincy options, I think, safest is Kane. If you don't want to, if you want to take a chance, maybe a Barnes, uh, maybe a Kulusevski or a Son. I think they're all better options this week. Field 8 players or use two free transfers and a -4 to field 11. It depends on which players you're getting in. So I think if you tell me the players, I'll probably be able to tell you whether to get them in your team. Use those two free transfers and the hit. But I think, yeah. I mean, -4 doesn't look really that bad. If it's definitely for a longer period of time, a longer, fiction, slightly long term. Let's say if you're planning for 33 or planning for 31, 33, and all that stuff, I think it might still be okay. Rafinha is out. There are a lot of rumors about Rafinha having COVID or returning a COVID positive test and not traveling with the team. Then there are certain accounts which are saying that he's traveled with the team and he should be okay. But I just feel it's a rumor. I, Nowadays you get a lot of rumors. I mean, there's another tweet saying Rafinha got COVID. It was a false positive. He's traveled, then he got COVID en route. We're not. We're now waiting to see. I mean, yeah, that's crap. It was a crappy tweet. Yeah, I mean, I personally think that he's okay. It's just this kind of stuff happens before the deadline. Thank you so much, Champ Boy. I mean, I like that name. Really excited to see practice sessions. Shame, yeah. I mean, Seb got COVID. Mercedes are struggling. Verstappen has been strong. Ferrari have looked really good. Lot of positives from the season. Of course, I'm not a Hamilton fan, but I think for Mercedes and Hamilton fans, I think that this is probably going to be a difficult season. At least the start is probably going to be tricky. Still, the qualifying is left and the race is left, so we'll see where Mercedes really stand. But I don't think so. They're anywhere near the podium at the moment. Thank you so much. The plan is to reach 1K subs very, very soon. I'm from Bangalore. Not from Bangalore though. I've been staying in Bangalore for quite some time. Born and brought up in Delhi, and have been moving places along the way. I've been or I've stayed in Hyderabad for a long time. Then I've stayed in Mumbai as well. Now in Bangalore for the past 6 7 years now. Sarah to Kane, instead of Son to Kane, Sarah to Kane. I mean, yeah, pretty much valid. I mean, you do Salah to Kane this week instead of Son to Kane. Do Son to Salah next week. I mean, that's fine. And Merck struggling is not a shame, but it's a success for the sport. Yes. For F1 fans, maybe yes. For neutral fans, absolutely yes. But I personally, again, I'm not a Hamilton fan at all. But I just feel the way Hamilton lost his eighth title, or supposedly the eighth title. I think there's some redemption, there's some payback there, and I would want to see him win that eighth title which he got robbed of, and I generally feel that he got robbed of that title, and that's that. So yeah, but of course. Being a F1 fan, I think it's great for the sport. It's great for the game, where you see the likes of Ferrari, you see the likes of Alfa Romeo. I think Alfa Romeo did really well today, and Bottas was actually quick. So yeah, I mean, no, absolutely no shame here. Thoughts on Cordio size captain? I won't do it. I personally won't do. Wolves defense captaincy looks tricky, looks difficult. I mean, I'm just not very comfortable captaining any Wolves player, even if it's Jimenez, and that's where I am at the moment. So yeah, Barnes or Madison? Definitely Barnes. Better FPL asset, more likely to start more games, better long term option, has better underlying stats as well. There are not a lot of people who can come to and replace him in that position. Leicester can play without Madison as well. So I think Barnes is definitely the better long term option. Ramsdale captain, no, won't do it. Huge risk captaining a goalkeeper. It's not even a double game week or anything like that. Won't do it. Captain Kulusevski, Son, Saka, Rafinha, and Jimenez, and I'm currently on Kulu. I won't change it. I'm okay taking a chance with Kulusevski. I mean, Son, you can provide an argument for Son as well, but his underlyings have been pretty average. So I'll probably just stick it to Kulusevski. I mean, he's massive differential this week. Would you consider transferring in a Leicester defender, and if so, who? I can consider going for a Leicester defender, and if I have to go for one, I'll probably go with Amati at the moment. If you are okay spending a little bit more cash, I think Fofana is going to be a regular feature. Uh, in the Conference League game, I think Soyuncu was benched, so we're not really sure who's probably going to take that second spot from that Leicester defense. I'd definitely not go Thomas and Pereira. I mean, there are high chances that somebody like a Justin could come in, and I just don't trust their wide defenders at the moment. And if I really have to go for somebody, I'll probably just go for Fofana. I think he looks like that he's probably going to be back, and I think Amar, if you really have to save some money, if you really crunch in terms of finances, I think Amati is also a decent option. There's still slight chance that one of so ensure Amati could be substituted, or probably could be benched in majority weeks, or they can just switch. So I think if I really have to go safe and long term, I think Fofana is decent. Triple Wolves defense, that's massive. That's a massive punt. I mean, though on a free hit and stuff like that, I mean, you would want to back one team, because if you are just mixing up free hit teams, especially in a game week where there are very few fixtures, most of your players would be competing against each other, right? So your attacker would be competing against your defender, and then you probably won't end up getting points at all, right? So it's just that Triple Wolves defense looks tricky. I mean, for example, you go for somebody like a Sa plus a Kilman or a Size or an 8 Nuri, for example, is just, nah, I mean, too much, too big of a risk, I think. If you're on a free hit, then maybe okay if you want to take a chance, but I think otherwise I won't do it. Rafinha's out with COVID. There is no absolute news of that. I mean, still no confirmed news of that at all. I mean, I cannot absolutely say that Rafinha is definitely out. Guys, please don't spam the chat. I think a request from my side. Please don't spam the chat at all here. You'll anyways end up getting blocked. So I please don't spam the chat, guys. Get Kane for Son with a hit -4. I think I'm okay. I'm okay taking that hit long term, because I think Kane is he's definitely a better option. He's definitely a better pick long term. I think he's a better captaincy option as well this week. And I think even a -4 for Kane long term, I think that should be okay. Great, guys. Half an hour to go. Make sure that you complete your moves. I don't see any point of getting rid of Rafinha till the time we don't have any clear information in terms of if Rafinha is out or not. I mean, people are saying that he got COVID, then he got on the bus, then he's out again. I'm not believing in all this. I mean, if you have him, only if you are playing a free hit, then there's a chance that you might not go for him and might go for somebody else. Absolutely, but I think in general, just probably keep him, or keep Rafinha on your team. I think that's the sound move. Yeah, Andy does have 11 players for a hit, and I'm Andy's saying Ramsdale has a knock. I personally I don't see any kind of information. A few whispers going around that Aaron Ramsdale didn't train today, and due to a knock that he's been carrying, not confirmed yet. It's been tweeted by now.arsenal. I think a pretty legit account. I mean, what else will you do, right? I mean, if you're playing a Ramsdale over a Sa, for example, or over a Schmeichel, for example, you just do the other move. But yeah, I mean, If Ramsey and Rafinha both out, I mean, there's no point of even playing this. I mean, they should just strike off this game week for players or for managers like us. So yeah, there's absolutely no point of. Yeah, another rumor that Ramsey didn't train. This is let's see. We have about half an hour to go. Let's see. Ivan Tony in, possible, decent move, decent punt for this week. Don't really like him long term, but I think for this particular week, I think Tony is a decent option. The Leeds forums are even more convinced that Rafinha is out. Could go either way. I mean, yeah, a lot of Leeds forums are saying that Rafinha is out. Just been told out. He's definitely out. I mean, who do you trust, right? There's never going to be an official source confirming this, but yeah. It's fine. Even if he's out and even if Ramsey is out, we'll just deal with this week. We'll just get past it. There's no point of taking a Ramsdale out this week because he's carrying a knock, right? He's definitely number one for Arsenal. He's gonna give you a double in 33, most likely. He's still the best keeper option in the game. I mean, you can take the risk of making that Raf to Barnes move. In your case, I think it'll be a lot better because you are using it as a free transfer. But in my case, I'll be taking a hit for that, and I'm just not too comfortable taking a hit for the same. That's all. I mean, you can leave your rumors about Rafinha being out or him having COVID and all that stuff. If you want to do that move, and if you have a free transfer, I think you can do it. I mean, Barnes is that's the thing, right? Barnes is all. Are you? Can we certainly say that Barnes is gonna play this week? Maybe not. He's definitely the better option to go for. But yeah, I mean, on a free transfer, I still feel that's a decent move to go for. I personally won't do it. Any news on Rafinha? Nothing confirmed, but a lot of sources are saying that he returned a false positive. Then he got COVID on the bus and stuff like that. I don't know what to believe at this moment. FPL Tips is also tweeting Rafinha is out. Generally, a decent account on terms of any injury and any news. But yeah, I mean, so a lot of true sources or worthy sources confirm that he's out. Somebody saying Rafinha is absolutely fine and not tested positive. He's traveled with the squad this afternoon. That's a bit old, though, in terms of information and in terms of news. I mean, if you have a free transfer available, if you have less players, go for it. If you have 8 to 9 players, maybe 10 players, don't bother. I mean, that's absolutely fine. That's an interesting question. I think Ten Hag is definitely the better option out of the two. I think what he's done with teams, that's also a thing, right? He's had or he's managed teams with less funds, and he's really done well against teams with a larger kitty of money, and who can really spend on quality players and get in great players. I just feel with the system that Ten Hag also plays, generally I think what Ragniak has also been kind of playing, or at least preparing United towards, I think he's a better fit. On an overall basis, I just feel he's a better manager and a better long term manager who, if given a decent amount of time at United, which I'm not sure how or how true would be that, but I just feel Pochettino is too hyped. I don't think he's not a serial winner or anything. He's he's found it difficult to manage a PSG team. They're out of the Champions League. That's a huge loss for PSG, considering that they also have Messi in the ranks now. I mean, I just feel Ten Hag is a better manager. These Radar just tweeted that all these rumors are bullshit, and he's okay. I mean, yeah, I'm not doing anything. Absolutely not doing anything. Even if Rafinha doesn't play, it's fine. Is a 4 point hit worth for Tony? I don't think so. I won't take a hit for Tony for sure. Watch Rafinha actually get some points this week, because now I've decided to sell. I mean, that happens, doesn't it? When you sell a certain player or when you bench a certain player, they more often than not they end up scoring and giving massive hauls, and you end up being a frustrated FPL manager. That's just classic FPL. Kulusevski or Son the better option? I think Kulusevski definitely the better option. You have Salah, Havertz, and Trent as higher price players. Looking to move on, James for Son or Kulusevski? Uh, I think I'll definitely have Kulusevski because he's cheap. He's decent value. Havertz, I think, yeah, I mean, Havertz has good fixtures. Definitely would have a double game week a little later in the season. And I think the fixtures are really good. He's been in good form. I think he's going to start most games. So yeah. How long have I been playing FPL? I think let's just see. Not sure. I'm definitely not a player with a decade long experience. I probably would be in my sixth season, something like that. Let's just see. Yeah, fifth season. So that's though I did play. I think I did play two more seasons from a different account. But I'm in fifth, sixth season maybe. Yeah, definitely not a person or not a manager who's been playing it for like decades. But I just got a hang of it. Just got interested in the game. Uh, didn't really play it very seriously in the first couple of years, but then really got a hang of how to play the game, what to do, what are hits, and what is the importance of these chips. And I think last two seasons have been really good. Last season was definitely the best. I got a 16K rank, which was the highest that I've got so far. This season we are at 15,000. That twice or two times we've been in the top 5K. I think game week 7 or let's just quickly check it. Game week 7 I was 5,800, 5,800 in the world. Game week 27 I was 7,000. So yeah, in the top 10K. Twice we've entered the top 10K. In fact, 8 also I was 7.5K. So hoping that we get a top 10K rank this season. I think that's definitely going to be improvement. But let's see. Start the game week with 8 confirmed players. Now, if all the rumors are true, I'll end up with only 5. Now, panic station. I mean, that's just every week, isn't it? You're so confident about your players, and half an hour, 20 minutes, 15 minutes before the deadline, you just lose your plot, lose your thing, and then you're just going haywire in terms of what to do. I just feel sometimes it's fine to not, uh, you know, get a lot of information. I mean, just trust your gut, trust your team, trust your players. People are saying now that Rafinha is okay again. I mean, that's fine. I'll just keep him. I personally will keep him. Let's just see. Any players worth a 4 point hit, I would have. I think the only players worth a -4 this week could be players from Arsenal, like let's say like a defender, maybe a Martinelli, maybe a Saka, who you would also want to have for 33 if Arsenal double in 33. The other team could be Leicester, especially if you're going for a Barnes, for example, and if you want him long term, he also doubles in 33, so he could be a decent option. If you don't have Kane, I think he's probably the only single game week player, at least in the near future, who you would probably want to have in your team because he's also a good captaincy pick as well this week as well as in the coming few weeks as well. So I think taking a hit for Kane is absolutely fine. Let it be. It's 5. Then it's 5. I mean, yeah, it's fine. Even if you get a red arrow in a particular week, which there's not a lot of high ceiling. I mean, I'm saying that, and I don't know what results are gonna play out this week. But I mean, it's absolutely fine. Even if we get a small or an okay red arrow, I mean, it's not the end of the world. There are better weeks to gain ranks, and if you play your cards right, game weeks like 33, 31, in fact, if you have a decent team of 31, I mean, you should not be really worried. 36, 37, these game weeks could be massive for your rank, so I think it's still okay. Bednarak to Fofana or Rafinha to Barnes. On a free, I would probably. I personally won't panic on the Rafinha news, but if you are anyways planning to sell Rafinha in 31, maybe 32, I mean, might as well just get Barnes in. Though from a points perspective, I like the idea of Barnes because Barnes is an attacking player. He's more likely to score goals than a Fofana. Leicester don't look that great from a in terms of keeping clean sheets. So I'll in general just chuck the Rafinha news and let's not consider the Rafinha news at all for this moment. I would probably still do the Rafinha to Barnes move. I gen If you're looking to gain a player in 30, then I think Fofana makes a lot more sense. And if you're looking to down, if you've already played your bench boost, for example, if you are not willing to invest a lot of money on or keep a lot of money on your bench, Fofana is also okay. I mean, it's not that you're really going to save a lot of money with this move, but I like the Rafinha to Barnes move. I think in general, long term move, I think this is a lot better. On 850k right now, so worst come. I mean, yeah, it's absolutely fine. I mean, you really won't fall because of this particular move. I don't think so. You'll fall beyond that. Other players and other results, strange results, going not your way, for example, could make things different. But I just feel this is fine. I mean, we don't really have to react to every piece of information that we get, especially when it's not confirmed news. I mean, I see Andy tweeting crazily on on Twitter, asking people, "Have you seen Rafinha by any chance?" I mean, that's it's just funny at this moment. Update: He's now possible. He's not available, but still possibly out. I mean, yeah. So let's see. I think this is the biggest news at the moment whether Rafinha is going to play or not. So let's see. Barnes is attractive even without Rafinha. I mean, absolutely. Barnes is absolutely attractive even without the Rafinha news. I personally don't really care about the Rafinha news. I mean, I'm absolutely fine with it. Even if he doesn't play, it's fine. He's probably on the chopping block anyway. But I'm not going to take a hit for it. That's for sure. I'm definitely not going to take a hit for it. Do I have a job at the moment outside YouTube? Yes, I do. I mean, YouTube is not definitely not full time. So I was into the edtech space. I was into marketing for a very long time. I have recently started my consulting stuff, my consulting gig, and that's with my wife. We're doing it together, and so that's what I do now. Quite a lot of time goes into that. A lot of my time goes into FPL as well. And the aim or the idea is to, let's say, make this full time. But let's see. I'm not trying to rush into it. A lot of things that needs to be figured out before kind of moving towards that direction. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely gonna. I'm probably gonna put in a lot more time in terms of growing and scaling this channel because I think it's been some time. We've got a decent base. We've got a lot of people who turn up every week on streams, on videos, and I converse with them through DMs, etc. as well. Uh, but yeah, I mean, that's the aim. Probably get into a lot more of regular football stuff and just not FPL. And probably start a United playlist. That's what I have in mind for a very long time. I haven't been able to do that. But probably start involving myself into transfer news and and those updates and all that stuff as well. I think that could be an interesting plug for a lot of people where we can actually get some concrete news rather than just talking about rumors. Absolute. I think that could be a decent thing to do. But yeah, let's see. Me trying to act mature right now, but if this week goes horribly wrong, I'll be the first one to criticize myself. I mean, that's what, right? If your gut is saying that, you know, make a move, go for a transfer, absolutely go for it. Just don't beat yourself with the decisions that you take. I mean, I know FPL is still a game. I know we played at least a certain lot plays it very seriously, but we have to realize it's still a game at the end of the day. And of course, a lot depends on what decisions you take, and things might really, really go wrong for you a lot of times. But you just don't have to beat yourself because there's always the next week to kind of improve your decision, improve your strategy, change your thinking in terms of what you want to do with your team and all that stuff. I think it really evolves you as a person when you really think about it in a lot of ways. It's just not a game, and it really tests your patience. It really tests your decision making ability and all that stuff. And I think that's really cool. I am married and I recently got married. A lot of people say that I look very young. I am not very young. But yeah, I recently got married. And yeah, that was something for sure. um, Son or Barnes for captaincy, I'll probably go Barnes. I like him as a differential pick. So yeah, that could be really. I mean, Barnes if he starts, and provided if he starts against Brentford, I mean, could be decent. Fry looking really solid. That's what I feel as well. I mean, a lot of people were saying that the likes of Red Bull and Mercedes are sandbagging their performance. Red Bull didn't feel as much. There was a lot of speculation around Mercedes really sandbagging what they have in the tank, but I think they're definitely not close to a podium. Maybe a podium, definitely not close to a race win at the moment. And Ferrari, I think, have been very consistent in both testing, outings. They look really solid today as well. In the first practice session and the second practice session, when under the lights, I think even on medium tires, their pace was really good. Though Verstappen did end up, I think, topping the timesheet in FP2, but I still feel Ferrari is definitely gonna be a huge factor, at least in the start of the season. But again, let's see. I think still a bit early to kind of understand the true raw performance. I think tomorrow's qualifying is probably going to give us a really good picture in terms of what we can expect from the race. But yeah, let's see. I can do a career mode if I play FIFA. I mean, I did try a career mode. That was very initially. I think when I started the channel, I did end up making a couple of videos, I think. But I mean, so see, I know that I can start a career mode, but there's so many good YouTubers doing FIFA stuff at the moment, and their content is also actually good. So I probably won't be doing justice in terms of the content that I probably would want to get out, and I think that really requires a lot of time. So I'll probably try to stick to football stuff in terms of Premier League news, Premier League updates, maybe maybe any kind of watch alongs as well. I think those could also be fun. But yeah, let's see. Should I captain Kane or Son? I'll definitely captain Kane out of the two. Much safer. I don't think so. This is a week where you really need to take a risk. And I think Kane is generally the better option. Would you support in F1? I mean, I'm still supporting Alonso. I've been following F1 since 2005. That was Alonso's first title win. Uh, so yeah, it's been a long time. It's been a really long time since I've followed F1. Still, of course, still support Alonso. Hasn't won anything in a long time, but yeah, I was really happy when he got that podium last season. But yeah, I mean, my wife is a Hamilton fan, and she supports Hamilton. So, but I mean, I'm a neutral in terms of what my stance is for Hamilton. To be very honest, I don't hate him. I don't disrespect him or anything like that. But I just feel that the way he was robbed of his eighth title, I mean, yeah, uh, could that would have really been very damaging. And I really want him to win that eighth title. Just not sure it's gonna happen this year, though. I'll be honest there. Yeah. Whom to replace Willock with? I have only 5.8. That's a tricky price point to have, especially when you don't have a lot of players in that price point. I mean, Martinelli is an option. So if you want to double up on the Arsenal, if you already have Saka, for example, so if you don't have Saka, and if you have somebody like a Lacazette, maybe you don't have any Arsenal attackers somehow. I think Martinelli in that price point really looks like the best option to go for. Even a double up on Martinelli and Saka is probably not that bad, to be very honest. Hamilton is a great idol to have. Yeah, I mean he's been doing really good. I mean whatever he's done for his community, general people, for the underprivileged and all that stuff. I think it's really good. Uh, but yeah, I just respect him you know off the track as well. I think he's been doing some really good stuff. But yeah, and he's of course a great racer, so there's no denying that. Dinier is injured. He's definitely out this week. He could be out for next. He could be back for 31, but then again, I mean, if you really have to take him out, then you take him out. Otherwise, just keep him and try to switch him to a James or a Cancelo. Maybe a Rudiger if you don't have Rudiger. Your dad absolutely hates it. Hated Hamilton or hates Hamilton. You should have. I mean, yeah, it was not a great moment even for a neutral fan because because of the way it ended, right? It was just not fair to Hamilton having really won. You know, he would have won the race for sure if that yellow flag wouldn't have happened. I think he there was an easy win for Hamilton. Already have Martinelli. Damn. Um, let's see. I mean, Odegaard is also an option. There's Ramsey as well. Odegaard has a fixture in 33. Would have a fixture in 33. Ramsey wouldn't. You can go Gordon, but I just don't. I just don't feel very comfortable suggesting Gordon or even thinking about Gordon for anyone or for any particular fixture. So that's a tricky one. But let's see. Let's see. Who else can you go for? I don't really like the look of Neves or Podence. Yeah, I mean, not a lot of options in that price bracket. Odegaard is probably the next best option to go for. Your dad is an Alonso fan, and I am a Seb fan. So whenever race starts, the house gets divided. I mean, yeah, that's that. Those 2 seasons, 2 titles which Alonso lost. I think that was really really disheartening. From a Alonso fan perspective, I mean, too tough to take. He's taking his mom's name. Yeah, that's really really cool, and respect to him for doing that. What's the best captain option? Kulusevski, Saka, Jimenez, Jose, Sa. Among all these, I'll definitely go Kulusevski. I think. Yeah, Kulusevski, I think definitely looks like the better option. I have Gordon. Don't I mean? Yeah, I mean I understand Gordon, and I understand why would you would want to have him. Of course, you would have wanted him for the double. There would be a double in future as well. Just how Everton are playing at this moment, right? You just can't trust Everton. Difficult, very very difficult. So yeah, guys, a couple of minutes. I think about 7 8 minutes to go. In case you have not, you know, locked in your transfers, please do that. Captaincy also, I think safest has to be Harry Kane, and if you want to take a few chances, Kulusevski, a Son, even a weird punt on a Harvey Barnes or a Saka. I don't think so. It's really really bad, to be honest. I mean, they're all decent options. Tony also could be a decent pick if you want to take a punt on somebody. I think that's a decent punt for at least a week, if not more. But make sure that you finish your moves and you complete your moves. You never know. I mean, the website could easily crash any moment. I'll also quickly check my team. I don't have anything to check towards. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's a pretty sorry figure or a sorry picture this week. I mean, looking at the defense, I'm playing a back five with 3 non-playing defenders. That's really 4 non-playing defenders. That's something. Yeah. Great, guys. Do hit the like button. Do like the stream if you liked talking to us today, joining us on the stream. You can also subscribe to the channel if you have not done that so far. We do regular content. We do streams like these every week before the deadline, where we talk about transfer suggestions, the hot topics for that particular week, and all that good stuff. You had Ramsey for 7 to 8 weeks, and last week I took him out for Kulusevski, and Ramsey gets a double-digit haul. I mean that is absolutely classic FPL, right? You end up taking out a player who you really, really want to back, who's not doing anything absolutely, and then the moment you take him out, he gives a double-digit haul. I mean, not a similar example, but I think we all saw that. What's that? West Ham's. I mean, I'm forgetting players at this moment, so yeah. Suchek, yeah. Suchek last season was such a crazy high value pick and high value player. And I hardly remember anyone actually getting points of Suchek because everybody had him on their benches for most weeks, right? And I think he ended up scoring 10 goals or something, and it was massive. So, yeah. Any reason not to transfer out Digne? I don't want to take a hit for Digne. I would have probably gotten Doherty. I think he's the better pick. I don't really like the look of Wolves, considering that they are also blanking in 33. I mean, it's highly likely that they'll blank in 33. And I want to make this player very fluid in terms of either going to a Cancelo or a James. Because even if I have Doherty for this week, I would not be keeping Doherty for a long time because my aim is to get towards a James. I think James would be a lot easier to get if I downgrade somebody like an Adams to maybe a Weghorst, or Adams to Broha and then a King to Weghorst. I mean, there are multiple combinations I can go for, but yeah, I mean, I just don't see value of keeping Doherty for a week for a hit. Even if he gets a clean sheet, I'll probably be gaining about 2 points. It doesn't really matter a lot. And I just feel I can get better value out of a Dinier transfer if I go to a James or a Cancelo. That's my thinking. Captaincy gonna be a deciding factor. I mean, yeah, captaincy could be a huge factor if Kane blanks. I mean, the people who've not captained Kane and people who players, let's say like Kulusevski, a Barnes, or a maybe a Saka, maybe a Coutinho. These are very they're decent options, but they won't be heavily captained by any stretch of the imagination, right? And I think if they do well and Kane blanks, I mean, it could be a massive turn of points. Harvey Barnes or Madison and Watkins or Lacazette? Definitely Harvey Barnes and definitely Lacazette. Hopefully Barnes does not disappoint this time. He's broken my heart a few many times. I mean, let's hope so. Let's hope so. Best 6.5 million midfielder was gonna go Kulusevski, but I'm tempted by Barnes and Ericsson. Ericsson is a good bet this week. He's not a great option long term. If you're looking at long term, then go for Barnes. If you already have the likes of Kane, maybe a Doherty as well, maybe a Son and a Kane combination, I don't see any reason of getting a Kulusevski. If you're looking to get an additional player for 33, I think Barnes generally and long term is probably the best option to go for. Kulusevski could be decent, but if I have to rate all three, I'll probably rate Barnes, Kulusevski, and Ericsson. Is Rafinha out? I mean, that's the golden question, isn't it? Nobody knows if Rafinha is out or not. Rafinha is gonna start or not. Let's just hope when we see the team news, Rafinha actually was or gets in it. It's about half an hour till we get the team news. Let's just hope Rafinha plays, man. I mean, yeah. I mean, look at the kind of tweets that we are seeing. Just seen Rafinha and Tesco picking up a meal deal, breakfast triple, Mars bar, and a Diet Coke. I mean, yeah, I mean, that's what we've kind of come towards now. Charles for pole tomorrow. I mean, it'll be difficult to beat Verstappen, that's for sure. If I still feel there is more performance out of that Ferrari, and even Verstappen as well. It's a level playing field at the moment, but I just feel Verstappen might just take it in the crunch moments and in situations where you get under a lot of pressure. I mean, Charles Leclerc is more likely to bottle it up as compared to Verstappen, who's also the current world champion. I mean, he's matured like like nobody on the grid, and Leclerc has still a lot of mistakes in him. So yeah. Schrodinger's rap, like someone on Twitter said. I mean, yeah. Let's see. Let's see. Oh. Yeah, I mean, guys, a couple of minutes to go, so make sure that you complete your moves. Who do you like after Alonso? I think I like Hamilton. Barring that season where both lost and Raikkonen won, I generally like Hamilton. I think I've never seen a driver who's that determined and who extracts performance out of a car like he does. Of course, he was in the strongest car for almost all seasons. Last season, Red Bull still had the better car, but he was able to extract a lot more than what a Bottas could. Right? I mean, there was a huge difference between both drivers. Of course, Mercedes did favor him, and there were a lot of strategy calls. There were a lot of decisions that went in favor of Hamilton because he was, of course, fighting for the title. But I just feel I like him a lot. Yeah. Hulkenberg first podium incoming. Man, that will be. I mean, he's that super sub, right? He gives you that super sub vibes where anyone who's out with COVID, anyone who needs a replacement driver, there is Hulkenberg, jumping in and getting into the team. And it's just weird that. And I was also, when I was seeing today's telecast and broadcast of free FP1 and FP2, I think Karun Chandok was talking about why they don't understand why these test drivers, the reserve drivers, why aren't they allowed to travel with the teams, and why aren't they on standby with the teams? Majority of the teams don't have them because, I mean, they should be accustomed, considering the situation that we are in right now. There's pandemic, COVID, and all of that stuff happening, and suddenly this driver would get a call, and it's actually difficult to get into an F1 car, get a race trim according to your setup, get the car properly functioning according to what you like, or how you drive. It's actually tough. Anyone I don't like, I mean, there's nobody that I hate, to be honest. I mean, Mazepin, I never hated Mazepin, but Mazepin was a troll. He definitely looked like a troll last season. And the way he went out, I mean, of course, of all that thing that's been happening with Russia and Ukraine. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that I dislike him, but I just feel that he definitely didn't deserve a place in F1. Stroll as well. I think the first season when he came into F1, he did a lot of mistakes. There was a lot of thing about nepotism and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, I don't dislike him. I definitely disliked Vettel for those 2 seasons where Alonso lost the title, or lost both titles in the last race. Of course, one was more closer than the other one, but Alonso was driving for a Ferrari car, which had no right to compete for the title, and Alonso still kind of did manage to take it to the last race. So there are some sour memories there, but I don't dislike Vettel. I mean, he's probably one of the most loved characters in F1 at the moment. So yeah, Russell looking solid, irrespective of whether of where Mercedes is at the moment. I mean, it'll still take some. It looks like that he's getting a grip of the car a lot better than what Hamilton's doing. Hamilton's definitely a lot more unhappy with how things have gone. But yeah, let's see. Play F1 fantasy. I am playing F1 fantasy this season, so I'll probably we can all play together. I can share that code, and we can probably play together. And if you guys are playing F1 fantasy, I think that'll be really cool. Dinier to Amati, 2 free transfers for game week 31. Um, yeah, I mean, Dinier to Amati, 10 players, pretty decent. You have 2 free transfer game week 31. That's pretty solid as well. Really, really important that you have. I mean, it's going to be a differential as well in terms of having that additional transfer. So I mean, in a good spot. How dare you say things about Seb? I mean, yeah, I don't dislike him at all. It's just those 2 seasons which were really hard to take. And I was what, 2010. I was 12 years back. I was 18. Yeah, I was 18, 19. So I mean, you would expect that kind of a thing. So I mean, that's fine. Share the code. I will probably post it on my Instagram, or I can probably DM it to you in case if you guys are playing F1 fantasy, and if you just DM or just say hi to me on Instagram, and I'll probably post the code there. I think a lot of people might not be playing it, so I think it'll be better if you can share it personally. Great guys. Thank you so much again to all of you for joining. Always lovely talking to you guys. If you've tuned in for the first time, if you're joining here for the first time, we do this every week. We've been doing this for almost 30 game weeks now, and yeah, I think that's be cool. Make a F1 fantasy channel. I mean, I'm not too sure about how many players are there in F1 fantasy. I've been playing it on and off. I won't lie. Football or FPL is generally the game that I really have enjoyed over the past few years. If there's a fantasy, I'm sure there'll be a fantasy game for the World Cup as well. I think we'll be doing fantasy stuff and FPL stuff, or fantasy stuff for the World Cup as well. I think that'll be cool. We did a good uh, month for Euros, and I think the response was absolutely crashing. We really, really did gain a lot of people. I spoke to so many people during that Euros time. I think it was really crazy. So we might still do a World Cup fantasy, uh, you know, uh, series this time when the World Cup really happens. But yeah, let's see. A lot of stuff we can do. Of course, we can't do everything, so we'll pick and choose. Good luck to everyone for the cup as well. I mean, whosoever has joined the league and whosoever's in the cup, I think I'm definitely crashing out this week. I have a strong feeling that I'm crashing out this week. But let's see. Great. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. I hope you had a great Holi, and I hope you had a great day. And we'll definitely catch up next time around. talk a lot more about a lot many fixtures and different ways of tuning in your team for 33 and all that good stuff. We will also get information about the double game weeks in 33, so that's going to be crazy. And let's see. Cup winner rewards. I have not thought of anything yet. There are rewards for the for the league, but I'll see. I'm probably thinking of something. I'll come up with something, and then and I'll definitely announce that on Instagram. But I just need some time to wrap my head around it. Have a good night. Have a great time, and I will definitely see you guys next time. Bye bye.